Hi guys. So today we're gonna make my biggest, most favorite, mostly used ingredient in most of my recipes, my sofrito. Sofrito is pretty much a fresh seasoning of lots of different herbs, and I use it for almost everything really. This is a very Spanish seasoning. My grandmother kind of taught me how, well, my grandmother did teach me how she made hers. And then I took it and cut my corners and did it my way. And I've been making it my way for a couple months now. And I've been very successful with it. I love it. It comes out great. And I use it in most of my videos if you watch my videos. So I figured let me show them how to make this. So here we go. We're going to start with what I'm going to be using. So what I'm using is I'm using 2 bunches of cilantro. Now I just cut the ends off here and I washed them. These are 2 bunches of what's called Recao or culantro. This is hard to find. I can't find this at any of my ShopRites or my Wegmans. I have to go into the hood for this, into Trenton. I'm going to cut off my ends till about that. These are already pre-washed. But yeah. I will say making sofrito is something that is a little time consuming and it does take, it does make a little bit of a mess. So you do have to be as organized as possible. A really big key into my organization and my whole process is I keep a bag of garbage. It's behind the camera so it doesn't look crazy, but here's my bag of my garbage. So that's all my ends that I cut, all the shavings of the onions and everything. So I just cut off the ends of the recaito or the recao, or culantro, whatever you want to call it. I'm also using these green peppers. These are like, they're the lighter green peppers. They're smaller. They're not spicy. Some people call them Cuban. Some people call them Italian. I don't know. I'm going to use 2 red peppers, 3 yellow onions, and these guys. These are called Ajicitos. So these are different. These are like little peppers. They look just like Jamaican hot peppers, but they're not. These are sweet, so they're not spicy. They just give that good taste. These are also hard to find. You're not going to find this at your ShopRite. You're not going to find this at your Wegmans. You have to go to a Spanish grocery store. And I'm also going to use fresh garlic that's already been peeled. This I bought at the grocery store, which I go to. This is the Trenton Food Bazaar. So this is a bunch of cloves of garlic for about $3.70. I'm also going to use salt, a little bit of vegetable oil, and then this is a jarred version of the recaito from Goya. I'm going to show you how I incorporate that into this along the way. Keep your bowls near because it's going to require a couple bowls, and you need, of course, your food processor. So we're going to get this started in a minute. Okay. All of my vegetables are washed, of course. My hands are washed, and everything is pretty much, I'm going to prep it really quickly. So I'm going to just quickly chop this, chop off the ends of, that end can stay, of the peppers. You're going to gut them. So I'm going to do that to all of my peppers. Okay, so now that all my peppers are gutted, assuming you know how to do that, I'm going to do what it is. I'm just going to quickly chop them up into smaller pieces. So that way when I put them into the food processor, I'm going to have smaller pieces and it's going to be easier. Of course, you know you can't put a whole pepper into the food processor. You probably could if you had a bigger one, but mine is pretty small. I think that's an appliance that I feel like my kitchen is lacking. I think I need a better food processor, honestly. We sleep on our food processor, but when you do shit like this, you realize You know, damn, I really wish I had a better, bigger food processor. So I'm just gonna chop these up like you see me doing. Okay, so as you can tell, I've chopped up all my peppers like this. Nothing fancy. It's gonna go into the food processor, so you don't really have to, you know, really like julienne the shit because you're not doing anything to it. These ajicitos, I just cut down the middle and just make them smaller too. With the seeds, with everything, I put it right in there. Washed, of course. These, it's much better when you get these like from the Caribbean, or you can get these like from Florida. The ones here, they don't give off as much taste as the other ones do, like let's say a Puerto Rico. I mean, that's just, it is what it is. But that's all we have here, you know, in Princeton. So thank God we at least have them. But I'm just gonna cut these through the middle like this because it's an already small pepper. And I'm putting them in there with the seeds and everything. All right, so now that I cut my peppers, I'm gonna do the same exact thing with the onions. So again, nothing fancy. It's going into the food processor. You're just making it small enough for your food processor to be able to properly process it and evenly distribute it. The onions, because it has like different levels, or whatever you call that, you're probably gonna wanna cut up a little bit finer. And again, I do 3 onions. Look, real crazy like. Okay, so now in this bowl I have all of my peppers, all of my onions, all of my ajicitos. They're all chopped up. I'm gonna take this bowl, I'm gonna cover it. And I'm gonna shake it up. To make sure that everything is evenly distributed. Okay, now here is where I start processing. So now in my process, I'm just gonna go a little at a time. And I'm just gonna get these down much smaller than what they are now. Like that. And I turn it off quickly. It's on low, but when they're this size, that's the size I want it to be. And I'm gonna start transferring that into this bowl. So watching my blade, I start to transfer. And then again, I do this until all of my onions and peppers are at that consistency. Recao. So I'm gonna go ahead and chop them up just like I did the onions and peppers, and then process that as well. Okay, so I got my peppers and onions done. Now I'm gonna move on to my cilantro and I'm doing that simply like this. It's a fairly easy chop, just chop straight through it. Lots of greens. They smell amazing. Again, these are already washed. I washed them with everything, with water, all that, Clorox. So these are already rinsed. Chop them up and get ready to process. Okay, so all of my peppers and onions are chopped up. And again, don't chop them for dear life. Let them live just a little bit because these bitches are going to go through multiple processes through this process. So if you chop them for dear life, you're gonna get mush. And I like my sofrito on a little bit more of a chunkier side. So that's pretty much done. Really, on a side note, whenever I think of, you know, shit like this, can you imagine what our ancestors, what our great grandmothers, and before then had to go through when they didn't have simple tools like a food processor, and they had to do this shit by hand? Woo! This took me 2 minutes. Can you imagine? Now, when you're gonna put the greens in the processor, I like to put just a little bit of oil because they will stick together. So I'll show you. I drizzle just a little bit of oil into there. And that pretty much breaks them down like that. So I'm gonna start putting that just like I did my peppers and onions in this bowl. See, this is why I had a bigger food processor. Okay, so I've cleaned up just a bit. I told you it's gonna be a messy process. Lots of leaves going around, lots of chopped herbs. What I did was I chopped up all the cilantro and recao together. I use very little oil. Again, remember, I like a chunky sofrito. So know that the more oil you put in, the more runny it's going to be. So pretty much what it looks like, it's like this. I mix it all together. So in here, you have the onions, you have the peppers, you have the cilantro, you have the, what did I put in there? I put onions, peppers, cilantro. I put the ajicitos, and I put the recao. All in there. What I have not yet touched is the garlic. That I work with slightly different, and we're gonna work on that now. Okay, so in my food processor, I hope you can see it. I got it as close as possible. I'm gonna put in the whole garlic cloves. Now these are already pre-peeled. You know, I usually work I usually use the pre-minced garlic. That's a lot of garlic. I'm gonna take just a little bit of that out. Hold on one second. Okay, I took some garlic out, leaving about this much left. If I had to guess how many full cloves are in there, maybe 15, maybe 20. I do like garlic on the heavy side. Garlic is my favorite thing in the entire world. So with my garlic, I'm also going to sprinkle some oil to get it into a nice garlicky puree. At this point, I will also, actually no, I'm not, just garlic and oil. And of course, you see that I have the remnants of all the cilantro and the mix that I've been mixing in there. So I'm gonna put this on. This thing has to be positioned correctly. So pretty much after I did it on low for like a second, it did everything. So what you want to do is you want to rake the sides, bring it down. I put just a little bit more oil. And I go at it one more time. Then I take my blade out, and with that, I get a nice garlic paste like this. And I'm going to move that into my master mix. I feel like if you weren't watching, I would add just a little bit more garlic. So I'm gonna add just a little bit more garlic because I'm gonna act like you're not watching and you're not judging how much garlic I'm using. But make sure to get it all out of your processor and into your mix. Okay, now that that's all done and processed and mixed together, I'm already fucking exhausted. And it smells like sofrito heaven in here. I'm gonna get ready to do my last step. Now, if you look at this, I told you I like a chunky sofrito, so I'm even okay with this. But there's still some chunks in there, which I don't mind because I like texture. But I'm gonna do my last step because I gotta incorporate just a little bit of salt in there. And I gotta put a little bit of oil. The salt is gonna help it last longer. A lot of times when you make a really good sofrito, you want it to last you because this is such a time-consuming project. It's something you don't want to do often. I do maybe once every 2 weeks. And that's because I give half my sofrito to my mom. So I'm gonna freeze a big part of this. So here's the final step. You can even get a lid. Cover it up really good. And shake it up. Alright, so I'm putting the extra garlic in there. And I'm mixing this all the way through. Again, it needs to be so evenly distributed, you don't even know. It's like foundation, you gotta blend it. This smells beyond. So in the processor, you're gonna start putting spoonfuls of the sofrito. Don't load it up too much because again, I have a small food processor. If anybody's watching from PR and they want to send me a nice one, I would appreciate it. Like a nice fancy KitchenAid, or who else makes a nice one? Ooh, like a Breville. My ovens are Breville's. I love Breville. Breville, if you're watching, can you get me a food processor? So I'm going to put it in my food processor. I'm going to add just a little bit of oil, very little, and some salt. Again, the salt is going to make it last longer. It's going to preserve the freshness of it. And I'm going to put just a little bit of this Recao. Okay, sorry. My grandmother called me in the middle of filming, so the video stopped. And I left off that I'm going to put just a little bit of this Recaito base. I'm going to put a little bit of, like very little of this. This is probably like a very weird step, but it's what I do, you know? I don't judge your shit, don't judge mine. I like it. It works fine for me in here, but I only did like 2 tablespoons. And then you're going to go ahead and put it on low. And there's your finished product. That's what it looks like. That is what it looks like. I'm going to start transferring it into a larger bowl. At this point, all your big chunks, all your leaves that got left behind are broken down. You've now mixing your salt really well. Your garlic is going in there really well. And I'm going to repeat this until I get my full sofrito done. And also, just for the record, this is a sofrito you can buy from the store. Now, I don't use this. I just bought this to show you guys, you know, how it looks like when people buy it at the store. It comes in a jar like this. It says sofrito tomato cooking base. It has green peppers, onions, cilantro, garlic, and olive oil for rice, beans, soups, chilies, and stews. So I have everything in there, a little bit more, minus the tomatoes. When it comes to tomato, I use tomato paste. I don't like my tomato paste to sit. So this probably has quite a bit of tomato paste, hence it's red. So that's why if you're looking at it and you used to get this and you're like, why is his green? That's why. I don't put tomato paste in mine. You can, but again, I don't like to. I don't think it sits well, and I also think it cuts down on the time where you have it to let it last you. So again, thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you make this, and let me know your thoughts. And here's my finished product. So I put it all into my big bowl, and you kind of just mix it up, and then you're going to start breaking it down into littler bowls. I usually do, maybe out of this, I'll probably get 4 or 5 bowls. And a bowl lasts me a week. And again, the sofrito is really, when you make stuff like beans, rice, any kind of meat, and you really want amazing, authentic flavor to it, you're not going to have all the time to chop all that shit up in the beginning, you know, and let it simmer. So this is going to give you the opportunity to have this already pre-made. All you got to do is 2 tablespoons of this, or, you know, to taste. And then you do your other seasonings like your adobo, your sazon, and you make amazing meals. I use this shit for everything. I love it. And it's also very, honestly, therapeutic for me to make. So I hope you enjoyed the video. You can see the beautiful texture. It does, in person, it looks like it has like a highlighter in it. I don't know if the salt or the oil gives like a natural highlight. It's very pretty. And it smells amazing. Also, disclaimer, when you make this, your hands will smell of it for probably like the rest of the day. So just beware.